All right, so I'm back for video number 3, and what's been heavy on my heart and mind this week is kind of the intertwining of our own masculine and feminine energies. And I think that that's what a lot of us are experiencing right now. We all have masculine and feminine energies inside of us. We're all made up of various planets and different houses and different signs, and all of those really make us who we are. But within that, we have masculine and feminine energies. And society has really taught us to not pay attention to our feminine energy, to not listen to our intuition, to only listen to logic, to go, 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 do, 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 and just really put on this front. And what I know to be true is what's happening now is that mask is really falling away for a lot of people, and it can be really uncomfortable. If you have identified as a certain way your whole life, and now all of a sudden you're like, wait a second, that's not me at all, again, you're going to come to a reckoning with yourself. So as we move into Aquarius, and Aquarius is a masculine energy, but the age of Aquarius, Pluto going into Aquarius, it's really going to unite us all and really show us that we're one. We're a collective unit. We're all operating out of God. And what you do to somebody else, what you wish for somebody else, is ultimately going to come back to you. And we're going to see that. So as our energies merge together, it can be really uncomfortable. So you're going to be feeling a lot more. You're going to tune into your psychic senses. Your senses overall are going to be heightened. So your vision, your hearing, your psychic senses, most in particular, but your intuition is going to be coming at you loud and clear, and it wants you to listen. And honestly, until you listen, it's just going to keep getting louder and louder and louder. And for those people who have operated more in their feminine energy and have been these big feelers and I think feminine energy can get a bad rap, but feminine energy is soft and it's nurturing and it's lovely. But when it's not balanced, it's overly emotional. It can be a little bit chaotic. It's not grounded. It's not centered. It's kind of floating all over the place. We need that masculine energy to really tether us and get us motivated, get us going. Now, this doesn't mean you need a masculine partner or a feminine partner to be balanced. It really is about balancing in yourself first, and start paying attention to those intuitive nudges. Start paying attention to the little voice in the back of your head that's saying, hey, how about this? How about you try this? How about you ask that person out? How about you go here? The more that you follow those intuitive nudges, you're kind of balancing your masculine and your feminine. You want to be able to listen. You want to be able to pay attention. You want to be able to tune into your psychic senses. I think men, honestly, probably have been struggling. I think women kind of went through an evolution first, and then men now are going through it as well. I think some men have been going through it for years, obviously, but it's difficult. And I think that when you've been taught to suppress your feelings, you've been taught that anger is the only emotion that's really appropriate for you to share. It's not okay to be loving and romantic and kind and intuitive and spiritual. There's a reckoning that has to happen where you really lose all of those false identities. Most men that I know are actually extremely sensitive. And I don't mean sensitive and overly emotional. I mean sensitive that they're very aware, that they're in tune, that they know their emotions, like they're intuitive too. They just have not always had the space to be allowed to operate in that way. And they've listened to the societal programming that says in order to be a masculine man, you have to go after tons of women. You have to do this certain kind of job. You have to appear this certain way. You have to be angry. You have to be whatever it is you've been told you have to be. And the truth is, that's not true. For me, a real divine person is somebody who does have the balance of both energies, but they're themselves. They don't operate for anybody else. They don't show up and go to work for somebody else. They don't stay in a relationship for somebody else. They don't get into a relationship for somebody else. And they certainly don't listen to the advice of their friends when it comes to their own life. It's important to have supports. It's important to have people that you trust and you can go to. However, I do think that we've placed a lot of our self-belief and our life in the hands of other people. And we've done that really unconsciously. I mean, people are asleep. People are not conscious of why they're doing what they're doing, why they're in this relationship, why they're working through this issue. People just aren't aware. But now they're becoming aware. And I think over the next 1.5 to 2.5 years, for those who have chosen this path, you will have to separate yourself from those who don't honor and respect your true nature. And relationships should, I'm not saying be easy, but I do think that relationships, whether friendships, business relationships, romantic relationships, there needs to be a natural flow of energy between the two people. And when that doesn't happen, when some person's sucking all the energy and some person's giving too much, some person's not giving at all, there's a blockage. And again, we have to ask ourselves, why are we in these particular relationships or these business partnerships when it's not authentic to our soul? What is that limiting belief that's keeping us from going after our dreams? And, you know, I think that a lot of times we're told that our dreams are just too big. And I don't know about you, but I've had people in my life who have seen my light, have seen my energy and my liveliness, and have really tried to steal it. And what I know to be true about that, I won't necessarily share, but they have tried to suction out my life force. And I think fear does that too. I think a lot of societal programs that we've believed, any sort of limiting beliefs, blocks you. It keeps you stuck. It keeps you from moving in the direction you want to go. And it will end up being like blockages in your chakras. So you have 12 chakras and they go all the way up. And when they're clear, you have a channel that really functions and channels from the earth through your feet, up your body, all the way up to the heavens. And that connection is beautiful because you also bring down energy from the heavens through your body to your feet and to other people around you. So that's what I mean when I'm saying bring heaven to earth. Unlock your chakras so that energy, that push, can get through. And we are seeing an immense amount of solar flares. And if you're not familiar with solar flares, it's energy that's coming out from the sun, that's pushing down on our planet, and that's what's helping us evolve. So that energy that's getting pushed down will cause anxiety in the body, because our bodies are not, I mean, we were born with these light bodies, but with the programming and with the blockages, it's weighed us down. We've become a lot denser. So as this energy that's getting pushed down from the heavens and into your crown and all through your body is coming in, it's going to cause anxiety in the parts that, one, it needs to activate, but two, it needs to move energy through. It's trying to get this tissue, these blockages, unblocked, stuck, so you can achieve and go after everything that you want in this life. So as this energy is pushing through and you're getting anxiety, one, with anxiety or anger, those are two feelings that have the most shame around them. But they're honestly like two of the most useful. They can really tell you what's not working for you. They can tell you, where your boundaries are being crossed, where you're not being treated correctly. I actually love anger. I think it's such a good tool and an awareness of like, whoa, something's not right here and I need to fix this. And I need to see why I'm getting triggered in this way. But with those two feelings, you have to move the energy, like you have to get it physically out. So whether that's through exercise, dance, whatever, you have to do something to get that out. So those are kind of more masculine feelings. But then you also have to integrate that energy that comes in. And I think that oftentimes that's where people get kind of stuck is, all right, I have all this energy and I don't really know what to do with it. You know, I can exercise, I can do X, Y, and Z, but maybe there's another calling on your life. Maybe there's something else you should be pursuing. And you have to be able to rest, close your eyes, meditate, and really, again, connect to the heavens to see where you're being pushed to go. You know, we're avatars. These are our little video game bodies. And you do have a higher self that's still up in the stars, that's in the heavens, that's pushing you along your way. But you have free will. And I do think that we all have very specific lessons that we have chosen to learn in this lifetime. And you can make the choice and learn that lesson at 15. You can learn it at 17, 21, 28, 35. All of that is up to you. However, between 38 and 42, there's a astrological process that happens that causes us to have this kind of midlife crisis, if you will. And through that, that's your higher self saying, hey, you haven't checked off X, Y, and Z on your list. I need you to start prepping for that. I need you to move in that direction. So you will start experiencing anxiety. You will have to say goodbye to that unconscious life you've been living, that you subscribe to, that you were living for everybody else but your true self. And you've got to go through this process. And then you got to get back to who you are meant to be. You know, my dad made a comment that when I was a kid, I could always kind of tell people about themselves. And he was like, I could never say anything because you were always right. And while that is something that I'm sure he admired in his child, he also hated. But that is my gift. I can see into people. I can see all of it, good and the bad. And not everybody likes that. However, we need that. We need people. I need people like that too. I need people in my life. You need people in your life that can say, hey, I can see this in you. I can see where you're going. I can see where you're meant to shine. And I really think that there's this belief that you have, or this attitude, or this way of life that's kind of keeping you stuck living for everybody else. And, you know, a lot of people know that I recently, you know, separated from a very long-term partner, and that was hard for me. I'm a moon in Taurus. I'm extremely loyal. Like, I stick it out through thick and thin and stayed for a lot longer than I should have. The reckoning came when I had my Kundalini awakening, and it was not something that I tried for. You know, a lot of people go do ayahuasca, they do yoga for decades, they do all of these things to have this happen, and that's not what happened for me. I went for a walk in the woods, and if you know me, you know one thing that I say is that trees are little antennas to heaven. Nature is technology too. That's what technology is based off of. So trees are little antennas to heaven. And I went for a walk in the woods, and I said out loud what I wanted, but I didn't feel guilty about it. And what I wanted was actually something so small. And so, I mean, it was something so small, but just saying what I wanted without guilt is what caused my Kundalini awakening to happen. And it happened that night. And after that, I just see things so differently. I have knowledge that I didn't have before, or that I wasn't aware of. And I think we all have knowledge inside of us. I was telling a girlfriend yesterday, she just had a baby. And I said, always remember, you're not her teacher. She is yours. And our job as parents is only to remind our children who they were when they first came from heaven. And if you didn't have parents that could do that for you, if you didn't have that love and support as a kid, you can end up seeking out relationships that are not actually fulfilling for your soul, You can seek out jobs that are not fulfilling for your soul because you're trying to fulfill this like validation point in your body that needs to be fulfilled. However, it will never be fulfilled by those things. It has to be fulfilled by you and God alone. It's not your job. It's not your partner. It's not your house. It's not what you have. It's not your money. It's not your waist size. None of that is your divinity. Your divinity is who you are in Christ. It's who you are when you came down from heaven, your signature frequency. And we all have such unique coding. And again, that coding is written in your astrology chart. And the people that I have done readings for have always said, wow, that sounds exactly like me. Yeah, it does. Because your birth chart is your coding. That is your energetic coding. So you can look in your birth chart and say, okay, my North Node is in my 12th house. So for me, talking about taboo, hidden topics is kind of what I'm here to do. It's wildly uncomfortable for me. However, I am still going to push forward because I know that this is what I'm meant to do. And I know that I have the support and the backing, one, of God, and two, of other people in my life that have the energetic coding that have kind of helped push me in this direction. And again, we can look at heartbreaks and think, oh man, that was terrible. That was really awful. But one of my worst heartbreaks pushed me in this direction. And again, it's written in the charts that is kind of like he would help push me in the direction that I am meant to go. So you can't be mad. Like, that's only gratitude. Like, I'm so thankful that even if it wasn't a feel-good 3D experience, it brought me back to who I was. And I have told that person that, like, I'm so thankful. Like, thank you. Thank you. But as our energies are merging, again, it's uncomfortable. You're going to be made aware of feelings that you suppressed for a long time. And some of that's going to be anger, and some of it's going to be sadness, and some of it's going to be loneliness, and some of it, you're going to be mad at yourself. And that's the honest truth. You're going to be so mad that you stayed in relationships or jobs or what have you for so long when you weren't appreciated or respected or loved properly. And I think there's so much guilt around, I want X, you're not giving me X. And I can either shame you for not giving me X, or I could say, it's no big deal. I want X. I'm going to go out and I'm going to be free until what I want comes along. And sure, that can't happen in a job situation necessarily. Maybe you still have to work. You have to provide for your family. But I think that there's an energetic, there's an energetic coding that you have to open yourself up to and really say, I'm open to the wisdom, I'm open to other opportunities, I'm open to other options. I know that life that I unconsciously created isn't the true life for me. And I am willing to step out of the box, and I am willing to do the work, and I'm willing to, most importantly, work on myself so I can be the person that I was brought to earth to be. And that I can ultimately live the life that I want to live, and that I can be happy and peaceful and surrounded by people that I know support me wholeheartedly. There's a lot of fakes out there. There's a lot of people who see the goodness in you, and it reminds them of all of what they're not doing. So again, they'll try to humble you. They'll try to keep you small. People can only see you in the perception that they really have of themselves. So if they feel limited, they will limit you. If they feel victimized, they will victimize you. It's just, that's part of that mirror reflection. So if you're surrounding yourself with people who don't inspire you, don't support you, don't uplift you, you really have to ask yourself, why am I surrounded by people that I don't feel supported by? Why am I not freeing myself up to support? And where, most importantly, am I not supporting myself? it's a rude awakening when you look around and you're like, I treat myself the way that they treated me. Yikes, that's awful. I should have never done that to myself. And I'm not going to do that anymore. And the first stop has to be, I'm no longer going to talk to myself in the way that I'm experiencing that I don't like. I'm no longer going to treat myself that way. I am going to honor my mind, my body, my spirit, my energetic expression. And I'm only one, I think, again, you got to isolate yourself and really get tuned and really start to love every little bit of you. And then you go back out into the world and you realize, wow, it really is true that people treat me the way that I treat myself. So when I say set your standards, set them for yourself. How are you going to treat yourself? How are you going to show up for yourself? How are you going to support yourself? If you have a big dream that sounds crazy, it sounds wild, it sounds like nothing that's ever been done before, why are you telling yourself it's so hard? I think, some things in life, sure, are hard. I think that we make things a whole lot harder by focusing on the difficulties and not focusing on the solutions, not seeing the bigger picture. Relationships are meant to help you grow and learn and connect. And while I do wish some were forever, I do. I wish that family was forever, and I wish love was forever, and I wish friendship was forever. Some people really were brought into our lives to show us where we're still not stepping into our highest selves, where we are still settling, where we would still say, I love you enough that I'm willing to accept your mistreatment. You gotta look at that, because ultimately that's how you're mistreating yourself. And if you're a neuron of God, why would you mistreat yourself? And in my first video, I talked about how, Jesus drank wine and he ate bread. And I believe that. I also believe the misuse of any substance, alcohol, food, drugs, cigarettes, nicotine, whatever, will taint your spirit and ultimately allow holes for negative entities to attach to you. And those negative entities are jealousy, lust, greed, envy, unworthiness. They can be hard to beat. And if you're surrounded by people who still have that energetic coding and you're trying to break those patterns and they're not trying to break them, something's got to give. Like, you're either going to have to lower yourself to be compatible with the people who aren't trying to grow, or you have to say, I love you so much, but I am going up. If you're choosing to stay at a lower frequency and not work on yourselves, not see your patterns of behavior, not change, I can't stay around. I just can't, because you ultimately will hurt my coding. I can recognize now when I try to lower something great that's happened to me or something just to make somebody feel a little better. And I don't really want to do that anymore. My life is wonderful. It is great. I am very happy. Am I happy all the time? No. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. Are there things that I still want and desire and crave out of life? For sure. But I'm happy and I'm courageous and I'm willing to let go of the things and the people and the places and all of it that don't really love me and support me. And you can feel energy, you can feel energy, you can feel it. You can feel when somebody is competing with you. And when somebody is still operating from a wounded or distorted place, whether masculine or feminine, again, they're operating from their wounds. So it's almost like they're trying to get their wounds validated, because ultimately that's really what they need. They need somebody to come in and say, you're right, that did happen and that really hurt. But instead of focusing on that, they ultimately just seek the same pattern over and over and over again until they go, I have to be the one to validate that experience and then move on and let it go. And know that that's okay. That experience happened because It just wasn't meant to be. Their energetic coding wasn't a good match with mine. I had a lesson to learn there. They had a lesson to learn. You know, I've been karma for a few people. You know, I have definitely, don't judge a book by its cover. Listen to your intuition. Don't listen to other people. And don't wish ill on other people, because it will come back to you. And I do think that you have to be careful who you play with, because some people do have divine protection. And they might not look like they have divine protection to the earthly world because you just see them as a 3D person. But on a spiritual level, they are backed by so many. And those people are warriors. They are the ones who have been through the most. They chose a very strong initiation so they could experience all these hard earthly things. So they, one, could fight through it, come back to self, and two, show other people how to get through it. And unfortunately, people get tested. And you have people that are on the spiritual path that come into your life, and they come in to give you light and love, and your test is, how did you treat them? How did you show up for them? How did you listen to them? And ultimately, it's a reflection on you. If you're mistreating other people for your own gain, for your own confidence booster, because ultimately you don't like where you're at, and so you want to make sure that they don't like where they're at, you're going to come to a rude awakening. Like, I'm not putting fear out there, but I do think this next year and a half is going to be difficult for people. I think we have this division that has been on our planet for so long, and we're trying to, again, bring people back together. And if you're still choosing to divide people, if you're still choosing to not treat people with respect and with honor and integrity, it's going to come back to you. And one thing that I tell my son, who, my oldest son, who I definitely believe has a very high spiritual ranking. I have witnessed him time and time again. I've seen it. And I think all my kids are special, of course. But he's a lot like me, and middle child syndrome, I guess. But I've seen it in him. And I tell him all the time, people know your intent. So, you know, I was the kid, he's the kid in class, raising our hand, kind of asking the snarky question. And if my intent was to be snarky and get my friends to laugh and get other people to, you know, cause an uproar, right? That's going to come back to me. But if my intent was genuine, hey, I have a genuine question here, then that's okay. So your intention is very important. And I think, again, in relationships, if my intention is to bring clarity to people's patterns of behavior and say, hey, I'm really noticing X, Y, and Z, or hey, have you thought about this? My intention is pure. I'm not doing anything to harm anybody. I would never intentionally hurt somebody ever. I don't want to passively hurt anybody either. However, I also don't allow other people to intentionally cause harm to me or other people in my vicinity. That's always been who I've been. You know, my sister laughs that when I was like 4, I was chasing the older boys out of the yard with a broom for picking on her. Still to this day. Like, I will protect the people that I love and care about, but I will protect anybody because that behavior is not okay. Intentionally causing harm, intentionally trying to cause division within people, within friendships, unions, business, whatever. Division of union within somebody else's self. You're going to have to take a hard look at yourself and really say, why am I doing that? Why can't I want the best for them? Knowing that there's still plenty out there for me. And that's, I think, one of the major issues that we see is in relationships or friendships that, you know, I had a friend who never not never, but who struggled with hearing good things happening to other people when she didn't have them herself. It was a pattern of behavior. I really started to notice it, and I just couldn't do it anymore. You know, it's like, why wouldn't you want your friends to have the best relationship, have the best job, have the best of everything when they want that for you? And ultimately, again, that's a reflection of how she really felt about herself, that, you know, maybe she was settling somewhere in her life. Maybe she didn't really feel as good as she portrayed. And, you know, it's sad to lose friendships, but it's even sadder that I allowed myself to stay in a friendship for so long that I always felt that. I always felt the small digs, the small comments, the, you know, just the picking. It's like you can feel it. And paying attention to our energy, paying attention to what other people are projecting is important, but also paying attention to what you're absorbing is important, and what you're allowing in your life is important. So I have gotten very clear on my boundaries, maybe a little too kind of kept in, but I did do that for a while because I needed to, and I needed to figure out who I could trust and who I could open up to and who really felt safe for myself and my nervous system. So again, as your energies are merging back together, your nervous system has to adapt. So one of the questions that I like to ask people is, if I gave you $1 million, would you take it? The answer was like, duh, yeah, of course. But if I told you you were responsible for $1 million, what is the feeling that comes up inside? Do you feel constricted, or do you feel like, oh no, well, no big deal, I can handle that? That constriction is that's how you know there's a little block. There's a little something you have to work on. There's something inside you that tenses up. If I say your soulmate's around the corner, how do you feel? Can you relax into that? Can you ease into that? Or are you going to tense up like, oh no, I'm not ready? Those are telltale signs. You have to pay attention to that. So as the light bodies into your body and cause that anxiety, it kind of disrupts the tissue, starts easing those blockages within your body, and you'll have some physical symptoms that go along with that, depending on which chakra you're purging. You have headaches, skin issues, throat issues, whatever. Let that energy purge out of your body and recognize that it's allowing more room for your nervous system to hold your manifestation. So when we hold so tightly to what we want, it comes off as a form of lack. So for anybody that has kids or has been around kids, or anybody that begs, I guess, you know that feeling when somebody's begging you for something that you have? Please, 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 can I have that snack? Please, 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 please. You kind of are like, no, don't ask me again. If you ask me again, I'm not giving it to you. No. So the universe kind of operates in the same way. When your energy is begging for something, begging for love, begging for money, begging for whatever, the universe is like, ew, no, you're not ready. Like, simmer down, go sit down for a second. So you have to get yourself into a very sovereign place of gratitude and thankfulness, and state politely your wants and your needs. Hey, can I have $1 million? Hey, can I win the lotto today? Hey, can I meet the love of my life? Whatever it is. And come from a very relaxed place and trusting again that it will happen. If it's meant for you, it will happen. It will happen in the perfect timing. But now it's a matter of easing into it and trusting that you can relax into what's coming for you, and you can experience the small little joys of life in the meantime. You're not waiting. There's nothing that I'm waiting for. I truly have everything that I need, always. Are there more things that I desire? Yes, but I'm not waiting for them. I know that they're coming. I know that they're on their way. I know that they're being perfectly packaged just for me. They're being prepared just for me, the same way my house was, and the same way that I'm being prepared for them. I'm being prepared for my desires. I am evolving and changing. I'm allowing my nervous system to be calm and grow and not be so fearful. You know, my dad was raised by people who, you know, survived the Great Depression. So it makes sense why he instilled fear in me. He was raised by a very fear-based, you know, life, society. My dad had a bucket of cornmeal in the attic forever in case we ran out of food. And I think that when you grow up in that kind of environment that's very fear-based, you end up operating and looking at every opportunity, and you're looking at it through a lens of fear. How could this hurt me? How could this go wrong? And always kind of having a plan. I think the shift happens when you release that fear and you truly allow love to kind of permeate your whole expression. And you say, okay, what if God just loved me as much as he says he does? And he will bring me to whatever it is I'm supposed to go through to grow. And then he will bring me to whatever it is I'm supposed to have to thrive. And for me, trusting in that has been an up and down process. It is not something that I have been day in and day out consistent with. But now I recognize when I'm not consistent with it, that something's happening. Maybe I'm making room for more. Maybe my nervous system is up leveling again. And I'm just, again, making room for the expansion in my life, in my energetic field. I want my energetic coding to be one of love and light and goodness, but authenticity. And I won't shy away from the hard conversations. You know, I have people in my life that push me to express what I need and what I want and ask for help. And I tell them how wildly uncomfortable it is for me and that I don't like it and I kind of hate it. But I'm so thankful that I have them in my life to help me do that. They have helped me see that I can say it in a way that's not going to get me yelled at or, you know, whatever trauma experience I had. So again, anybody in your life, and it could be coworkers, it could be friends, family, have specific energetic coding, and they come into your life at just the right time to cause a little bit of chaos, to cause a little bit of something in your life, to help wake you up and say, again, sister, we have stuff we got to work on here. I love your soul enough that this is something that you need to learn and grow. And our soulmates come in many different forms. They're not all romantic. They're friends, they're animals, they're, you know, family, romantic partnerships, of course, but these people come into your life divinely guided. Nothing is by mistake, nothing. And they come in to share their energetic coding, their frequency, to share it with you and to get back some for them. So when you're not operating authentically, I'm not gonna be able to get that out. When you're not operating at your highest self, you won't be able to transmute your coding. You're transmuting old programming. You're projecting your traumas and your wounds and your hurts onto these people, and innocent people, and people that didn't deserve that. And ultimately, that's going to be the karma that you have to deal with. That you projected your wounds, your hurts onto other people instead of looking at yourself and saying, okay, I can recognize the pattern, and this is where I got to make the change. This is where I'm not in alignment with myself. This is where I'm not in agreement. Getting back to yourself. What do you believe to be true? What do you believe that God can do in your life? Do you believe there is a God? Do you believe in the science behind God? Do you believe in the science behind magic? Because I believe that spirituality and science are intertwined. I believe that nature and God intertwined. God, science, like it's all together, it's all one, and we're all a manifestation of that. You know, I'm in awe of the sunsets every day, and to recognize that he built me the same. So I'm going to honor myself the same way that I honor everything else he's created, the same way that I honor other people. And we all need to honor ourselves and honor other people the way that we honor God, because that's how you show up. And it's being your real self, it's being honest, it's calling people out on their BS. I'm sorry, but it is. And it's with love. You don't call people out with fear or hate or anger, it's with love. It's saying, I don't like the way that you talk to me, I don't like the way that you treat me, I can't get down with that. And they either grow and change and learn, or you know to walk away. That's your sign. If you tell somebody, I don't like being treated that way, and they continue to do it, those people are not for you. They are the people that you need to walk away from. So, another long video. It's kind of all over the place, but I have so much to share, and I do hold myself back. I do, as much as I trust myself, I really want to deliver positive and uplifting messages, and I always want to come from a place of love, and I don't ever want to deliver something with that could sound like it has an ill intention, because there's not an ill bone in my body. So I really kind of hold myself back, which is why I got my little foggy throat, because I really am kind of closing up when I need to be opening up, and I need to know that it's okay to share. And you know, if people don't like these messages, like, I don't really care, because I know that who they're meant to get to, they're meant to get to. I know that I am meant to highlight the hidden and share my knowledge, and most importantly, help people go through this transition. I didn't go through that transition just for myself. I went through it so I could assist my children and all children as they go through this. I went through it so I could assist the people who are in my soul tribe and my energetic coding. And I have seen soul tribe members come into my life, and sometimes briefly, sometimes as, you know, my landscaper, my fence guy, or my plumber, come in, and so we can share these experiences, so we can say, hey, we feel something, we feel a kinship, we feel like I've met you before. And sometimes it's because in a past life they did that to you, that they showed up for you. So I want to show up, and I want to be a support when people are struggling and going through this time of transition, because it's not easy, and you will face spiritual warfare, and you will have to make hard decisions, and you will have to sometimes hurt people. And I think that was in your contract. Like, you know, maybe it was in their contract to break my heart so I could become this, and I could just really let go of all of those fears and connect with God and fully trust and learn myself and love myself. And like I said in other videos, I do want everybody to feel like this, like you're happy with your life. Sure, there's things that you still want to acquire and grow to, but that's life, right? Like, you're always going to want to aspire to grow and change and evolve and enjoy life. Life is meant to experience. We're not meant to live on this earth and be broke and live in fear and struggle. We are meant to thrive. We are meant to have money and have all of the experiences. And I'm not just talking about the physical money. Our energy is currency. And you will see that shift. Our energy is currency. And that's what's gonna be what draws in your abundance. It's gonna be what magnifies you to the experiences that you're meant to have. You might have to go through the hard stuff first, but you will get to the other side, and you're gonna be like, oh my gosh, One, I'm so happy that it took as long as it did because my Norton antivirus was able to fully download. I was able to get all of the right programming in my system and delete all the old yucky stuff. And now I'm ready to show up for this. Now, if this presented itself, I'm not going to be scared. I'm not going to run away. I can look it straight in the eye and say, yep, that's for me. And that's what I am willing to go after. That's what I'm willing to show up for. And the most important thing you're going to show up for is yourself. Yourself as a neuron of God. It's one and the same. Show up for that person. Show up for the little child in you who had dreams and visions of what life could look like. No matter what you went through, no matter how you grew up, you have a vision in your life, and it's up to you to create it and believe in it and have faith in it and go after it. So your faith, your belief in yourself, your rest in yourself, your grace with yourself, those are all feminine attributes. But your willingness to have boundaries, your willingness to be firm and this is what I'm going after, those are your masculine energies. So they both have to be strong. They both have to be in control of you. They both have to be balanced. And with that balance is the beauty and the connection. So I pray for you. I pray that we all get what we want out of life, that we all get to experience the love and the joy and the little teeny tiny moments that bring us so much bliss, and that we get to connect with other people that are like-minded and joyful and will support us and help us through our struggle. I pray, I just truly, I pray that those who are struggling find solace and peace, and if they need love and support, that they know who to reach out to, that they have somebody. I am always happy to be a support for people. Again, I do astrology readings, I do energetic therapies where I can help clear out those blockages to kind of help accelerate the process. Doesn't mean it's going to be easy after that. It means I'm gonna unlock those tissues on my own, and then that funk will filter out, and then you'll be clean and you'll be able to go after what you want. So if you're interested in the session, I love doing this work, so I would be more than happy to set up a consult call. We can see what we want to do, but mostly I just pray that you start paying attention. You listen to yourself, you listen to God, you take moments in prayer, meditation, you protect your energetic frequency, you don't drink the jungle juice, and you just step into the life that you're meant to live, because it's a beautiful one. And I believe in you, and I believe that if we all can spread our light and we all can show up authentically, I did it authentically, then heaven on earth. And I truly do believe that. And I think that you will see a massive shift in the people who are choosing that path versus the people who are choosing the path to stay stuck. So if you're choosing to stay stuck, know that that's okay. Your karmic loop of transition will come around again, and you will get a choice again to see how you want to evolve. But if you're going through it now, I'm with you. I support you. Just keep loving on yourself, keep praying, and we will ascend together.